Very good morning to all of you. In this video, we are going to start a new chapter, that is chapter number 8, percentage. So, let's get started. Here, let us understand what is the meaning of the word percentage. Percent means per cent, which means per hundred, or you can say per century. Suppose here is a statement 5%. Now what does this mean 5%? 5% means 5 per 100. As cent means 100, so we can write 100 in the place of cent. Alright. Now we can also write this in the form of fractional form also. 5 per 100. So this form is equal to, yes, 5 percentage. Okay. Symbolically, percentage is represented by percentage sign. Next, let us understand the percentage with the help of example more clearly. Example number 1. Here, I have taken a square and I have divided this square into 100 small squares of equal dimensions. Out of these 100 squares, there are 50 squares which are 50 squares which are which are green in color. Alright? And the rest 50 are unshaded, unshaded, or you can say uncolored. Alright, so we have to find out the percentage for the colored squares. So how you will find out? As you can see from the figure that 50 of the squares are colored out of 100 and 50 of the squares are uncolored. So we can say that we can say that 50 out of 100 squares, or we can also say it like this: 50% of the square are green colored. Alright, मतलब 100 में से 50 या फिर 50% आधा, 50% means half of the squares are colored and half of the squares are uncolored. Okay, that is why I have written 50% here. Okay, symbolically we can write this 50 followed by the percentage sign. We can write 50% symbolically like this. Also this 50% means what? 50 per 100. We have studied this in the previous slide, which means in words we can write it 50 100. Alright, let us see with some more example. Example number 2. Here out of 100 squares, 75 squares, 75 small squares are yellow in colored. Yellow in color. So, what is the percentage for the colored squares? Percentage for the yellow colored squares. So what will be the percentage? Yes, how many squares are colored? There are 75 squares which are colored out of 100. 100 squares में से 75 squares colored हैं. So we can write it like this, or which means 75%. In words we can write 7500. Alright. Now let us see this with one more example. Example number 3. In example number 3, out of 100 squares, there are 25 squares 25 squares which are yellow in color. Which are yellow in color. And so number of uncolored square will be, how we will find the uncolored squares number? Yes, total square में से हम colored squares को minus कर देंगे तो we will easily find out the uncolored square. Okay, instead of counting we can do it like this. So by subtracting them, what we will get? We will get 75 squares which are uncolored. Okay, now percentage for the colored square. So how many squares are there which are colored? There are 25 squares which are colored. 25 squares which are colored out of 100. So its percentage will be 25%. Alright. Now suppose you have been asked to write down the percentage for uncolored or unshaded squares. So what will be the percentage for uncolored squares or shaded or unshaded or unshaded squares? So how many squares are there which are uncolored? There are 75 squares out of 100 squares which are uncolored. So in the percentage form we can write this 75 percentage. This is yellow colored, so we will write yellow color. Okay. Now moving on to next type of question. Here in this question, what you have to do, you have to write down the percentage for all the colored squares. In this figure, you have been given four different kinds of colors, and you have to find out the percentage for all the different colors. So what are the different colors you have been given? You have been given red, blue, pink and green. So first we will find out the number of red squares, the number of blue squares and the number of pink and green squares. Then we can easily find out the percentage of the respective colors. So first of all, we will find out the number of red squares. So how to count? How many rows are there? There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 rows and 10 columns. So 5 rows into 10 columns. How many squares are there? There are 50 small squares and 1, 2, 3 and 4 plus 4. So how many red squares are there? There are 54 red squares. So we can write 54 here, and to represent it in the form of percentage, how we can write 54 out of how many squares? 100 squares, or we can write it in the form of 54%. Now let us count the number of blue squares. There are 2 rows and 10 columns. 10 columns, as you can see from the figure. So 2 into 10, what we will get? We will get 20. So number of blue squares is equal to 20. Percentage for blue squares will be 20 out of 20 कितने में से है? 20 100 में से है. So which means it is 20%. Blue is 20% of the total square. सारे स्क्वायर में से, पूरे स्क्वायर में से ब्लू कितना पार्ट कवर किया है? ब्लू ने 20% पार्ट कवर किया है. और पूरे स्क्वायर्स में से रेड ने कितना पार्ट कवर किया है? रेड हैज कवर्ड 54%, where blue has covered 20% of the total squares. Now let us similarly we can find out the percentage for pink and percentage for green. So number of pink squares, 1, 2, 3 rows, and 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 6 columns. So 3 into 6, how much? 18. So there are 18 number of pink squares is equal to 18. So in percentage form we can write it in 18%, or you can say that 18% of the pink square has been covered. Okay. Now let us find out the number of green squares. So how many green squares you can see? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 and 4. 4 into 2 is equal to 8. So how many green squares are there? There are 8 green squares. In percentage form we can represent it 8%. Okay. Now moving on to next type of question. In this question, what we have to do, we have to write down the percentage of the following symbolically. Here you have been given statements, 3 different kinds of statements, and you have to represent the statements in the symbolically form. So let's check one by one. In question number 1, what we have been said that 84 marks have been scored out of 100 marks. So कभी भी हम लोग को जब मार्क्स मिलता है तो ऐसे ही मार्क्स मिलता है. तो सिमिलरली स्टेटमेंट भी यही बोल रहा है कि 84 मार्क्स को स्कोर किया गया है आउट ऑफ टोटल मार्क्स आर 100. So we can write this in the form of this 84 by 100. And 84 by 100 which means 84% marks scored in the subject history. Alright. Similarly, the second statement says 73 marks have been gained out of 100 marks. So we can write 73 out of 100, which means 73% marks have been gained in the subject English. Okay. Now the third statement, it says 25. There are 25 blue balls, and out of how many balls are there? There are total 100 balls, and out of 100 different balls, there are 25 blue balls. So what will be the percentage for blue balls? Yes. So there are how many number of blue balls? There are 25 blue balls and out of 100 balls. So the percentage for the blue ball will be 25%. Alright, hope you all have understood till here. We will meet again in the next video. Thank you.